And the popular hot rodding national is being brought to you by Quality Parts from Ford. And by Drag Review, all you need to know about drag racing. And we'll be back to begin our eliminations on this Sunday afternoon from Martin, Michigan, right after these messages.
Motorcraft quality parts spend their weekends meeting some grueling demands. The very same Motorcraft quality delivers dependable performance in your car every day. Motorcraft from Ford.
You can't get much closer to the game than this, unless you're reading this. The Sporting News delivers more baseball coverage than your local paper and all the other sports weeklies and monthlies combined. Plus everything you need to know about football, basketball, hockey, and boxing. So why not get the Sporting News and get in the game? Here's how.
You'll get 36 issues of the Sporting News and 2 preview issues for 3 payments of $5.99. Call toll-free 1-800-592-6000. 1-800-592-6000.
Like many before, you came here asking for just one thing.
Sadowski, Siboski.
A chance.
Pronounced Siboski. You're gonna make it here, 'cause you make America work, and this was for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste
Hey, Sid.
that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
Billy Martin may be back in Yankee pinstripe.
The latest news.
Oklahoma and Nebraska are tied at 21 with a minute remaining.
Scores updated every 5
Jack
minutes.
Nicklaus has just won the Masters.
The biggest stories, the fastest scores, just a phone call away all day, every day. ESPN Dial Sports, 1-900-976-1313. The numbers for scores, headlines, and ESPN program information. ESPN Dial Sports, 1-900-976-1313.
Back at Martin, Michigan, there's a tremendous story involving one of the competitors in our quarterfinal rounds, the Pro Funny cars. The driver of Blind Faith is Mike Edstrom, and Marty is with his dad, Dave Edstrom.
Dave, first off, I have to ask you, there are a lot of people in this sport that can't put cars together with eyes. How are you able to do it without?
Well, I've been involved in racing for about 25 years, and I lost my sight due to diabetes, and that about 10 years ago. And at first I didn't think I would be able to do any of it, but I just started using my hands to do the same work I did when I could see, and I found out it wasn't all that difficult. There's frustrating times, but it still works pretty good, you know.
How do you keep things organized?
I've got certain spots for all the tools and everything, and then just put stuff back where it belongs, and I know where everything's at pretty much, and it's not all that difficult.
What's the biggest frustration for you?
My biggest frustration is actually trying to interpret what the other people tell me when they see the car leave the line or when they're looking at the spark plugs to do spark plug readings. When I could see myself, I could look at it and I know right away on what to do on the motor. Now I have to interpret what that person is saying and run it through my mind and figure out what I want to do from that.
This is an incredible story. Dave Edstrom.
He's the father, the owner, and chief mechanic on this machine, the 1981 Pontiac Trans Am Blind Faith, driven by 21-year-old Mike Edstrom from St. Paul, Minnesota. He has a big job in front of him because in this quarterfinal round, his opponent is going to be Mark Oswald.
Yeah,
we had an opportunity to talk to Mark Oswald earlier in the weekend and ask him about the changes that he would like to see in the Pro Funny car division.
Well, really, I'm just... You know, I'd like to see all the tracks made safer, you know. I think as far as the rules on the car itself, I like the funny car category unrestricted. I think that's the neat thing about drag racing. It's the last form of motorsports racing that, except for safety rules, is just wide open. That's the way I like it.
It's Edstrom in the near lane and Mark Oswald in the far lane.
There's Oswald. Looks like he has the advantage. He certainly has had the better performance throughout the year, and he puts one on Edstrom here at Martin.
So it is going to be Mark Oswald going into the semifinals. He records a 250, a 5.842, and Edstrom had a 6.206. Next up will be Tom the Mongoose McEwen against Wayne Minnick. And we also asked Tom McEwen about some of the changes that he would like to see in this very expensive but very exciting game of pro funny car racing.
Well, the one thing I'd like to see is not so many national events. I think that, I'm running 28 this year, and it's, we're almost running almost every week during the summertime. It's just too much for keeping the parts and the crew from being wore out and everything, and I'd like to see them stagger them and not have quite so many national events if possible.
Well, Wayne Minnick is a 24-year-old from Chicago, Illinois, actually Justice, Illinois, and he's up against, from Fountain Valley, California, Tom McEwen, 49-year-old competitor.
Minnick in his Dodge Daytona and McEwen in a Corvette. Of course, Minnick, the Chi-Town hustler, famous match race car, and the Coors Vet, as I like to call it, with Mongoose at the controls.
Minnick is in the 1978 IHRA Winston Championship car. They begin to stage themselves when the green comes on.
You can see Mongoose is breaking loose, but I still think he's going to get him, Bob.
Good race for Tom the Mongoose McEwen. A lot of tire smoke, and the car almost broke loose, but McEwen comes up with a win, a 6.147 against a 62.59 for Wayne Minnick. And let's look at it once again.
Minnick has got to be disappointed because as he gets about halfway down the strip, a little bit before this replay, McEwen looked like he was all over. It looked like it was done for, but he wasn't able to really make way for Minnick.
Tom the Mongoose McEwen moving on now to the semifinals. Paul Smith against Tim Gross coming up in this next quarterfinal round. And Paul Smith has a brand new car. We asked him about it.
They wanted to stop racing for a while because they don't have a major sponsor and stuff, and it takes a lot of money to do this. So I couldn't quit because I was number 2 in the points. We fell to number 2, which we're number 2 now. And I figured that I was going to keep trying. So I met up with this guy, Gary Craven. In his car last year with Johnny Potts driving at Bristol, run 5.67 at Bristol. So Gary Craven, he says, take my car and try to finish out, number 2 or 1. And we're about 600 points behind, but I believe we can catch up because we ran good last night here with this car, and I think we got a good chance today because this track is marginal.
Those are the comments from Paul Smith driving his brand new Corvette. His opponent is going to be Tim Gross. We asked him about changes in Pro Funny cars.
I'd say one of the biggest things, I think there'll be an advantage to not only all the different sanctioning associations that are involved in drag racing, but also for the racer, would be that we maybe kind of back down a little bit on the scheduling. At this point in time, like I race almost 35 times a year, and as you well know, the way these cars are, the amount of power that we produce and the amount of equipment that's necessary to support that kind of a venture, it really takes its toll, not only on the equipment, of course, but on our own physical bodies.
Tim Gross, the winner of IHRA race at Bristol earlier this year, set to go against Paul Smith.
Gross cranked off a pretty good reaction time in the first round of the finals, .228. Got his work cut out for him here.
And it's going to be an easy win for Tim Gross as Paul Smith backed off after some smoke come from that car. And Tim Gross moves into the semifinals. He recorded a 5.99, 232.55 miles an hour. The reaction time of Tim Gross at 2:40. Well, Scott Coletta going up against Kenny Bernstein here in this next race we present for you. We asked Coletta about relaxing between rounds.
I try to stay involved in it as much as I can. The races where we just run the funny car, I don't have to do very much at all. But when we run both cars, I work just as much as anybody else.
Well, Scott also has his work cut out for him because he's up against Kenny Bernstein, and we asked Kenny about changes he would like to see in Pro Funny cars.
I'd like to really see, honestly, a combination of a world championship, a Winston World Championship, where there's really one true champion, not an IHRA champion and an NHRA champion. So there's a lot of things that I think would be beneficial for the sport to happen as time progresses, and hopefully it's going that way.
He's in the Motorcraft Ford, and he won at Milan earlier this year. Can he beat Scott Coletta? Yes! Bernstein moves into the semis.
Coletta gave it all that he could, but Bernstein has cranked off a 5.8. His reaction time has slowed down to .314. And in the last round, he had a Cobra-like reaction at the line where he reacted at .132. Now, his average speed this time around is 247.9, almost 248 miles per hour. Not what you'd call astronomical, but certainly when you match it up with his reaction time and his ET, he moves up the next rung in the ladder.
Well, Kenny has a very good record on ESPN. We'll see if that can continue this weekend. We'll be back with more of the popular Hot Rodding Nationals from Martin, Michigan, right after this.
Get on the fast track. When man races to win, you'll finish first on the ESPN with innovative coverage of more than 60 races this year. The world's #1 motor racing network, ESPN.
This is the call that every college football star in America is waiting for. The call from the NFL. And this is the phone used in the college draft, the NFL helmet phone. Now you can own one exactly like it, made from an authentic NFL helmet with an ITT phone. There's one for every NFL team, your team. To get one for your home or office, just call 1-800-238-2300. Say which team helmet you want and have your credit card handy. Credit card orders only. The price is $249. Get on the phone right now. Don't miss this chance to own a phone exactly like the ones used at NFL Draft Day. Call 1-800-238-2300 for the NFL helmet phone. Call now. Draft a winner. That's 1-800-238-2300.
It's not every Tom, Dick, and Harry that can put together a major sponsorship package in the middle of a race season. But Tom, Dick, and Harry Scribner did just that. But Tom's missing. Back home doing some work, right, Dick?
Yeah, you're building the motors.
Tell me, explain how you put this all together, because it's really rare to have sponsorship come in at this point of the year.
Well, it's new for Sylvania and us because we ran in the West and we never ventured from that. And I went to a store one day, Pet Boys to be exact, and seen a headlight sitting there. So I said, well, I'll give them a call, see if they'd like to go into racing. And one thing led to another, and a few meetings with about 28 corporation people, and there we were at.
Harry, this is your first IHRA event, and you're giving up an awful lot of cubic inches. You're running about a 497 engine, and you're allowed to run over 700 cubes.
Well, at the time, we didn't have the money and stuff to put together the big motors, so we're just out here seeing what we can do with a 500-incher. Just kind of get our feet wet and see how we like the IHRA race.
Well, Harry Scribner was defeated in the first round by this man, Ricky Smith, driving the Motorcraft Mustang. And we asked Ricky about changes he would like to see in Pro Stock.
Everybody just working along on their combination. And to go and change Pro Stock with the way the cost factor is to do it, I wish they wouldn't do it just for the lower class guys, you know, to help them out too. Let's just keep everything like it is and let everybody go racing.
The big question, Bob, that has popped up this year is that turbos, which have been so popular in Indianapolis-type cars for so long, have now made their way to drag racing, and there's a big concern maybe that they might land solidly.
Roy Hill is his opponent. We ask him what he can and can't control with his car.
Driving the car, I feel like we've got real good control of till you have tire shake. That's when you're like on a dock out at the river or something, and you jump off and you're just in mid-air falling to the water. That's the way it is when you have tire shake. There's nothing you can do.
It's the budget tempo against the Motorcraft Mustang, and it's
Hill
in the near lane, Hill the far lane.
Hill lost control about a quarter of a way down the strip, and that might have made the difference in that square-off. You could see the car swerve just a little bit to the left, and down at the end of the finish line, there's the difference, and maybe Hill just had to feather that throttle just a touch, and that made the difference.
So Smith moving to the semifinals. Next up is going to be Barry Shirley against Bob Glidden. Glidden, of course, in a terrific accident early this year. He's come back from it. But he's a veteran of this division, and we wanted to know whether or not he sees or would like to see any changes in the pro stock division. And here's what Bob Glidden had to say to us.
I'd like to see the engines downsized. I'd like to see the cars slowed down just a little, not a lot maybe. I think we could go down to a 400 cubic inch limit and still run really fast.
Interesting comment from Bob Glidden. He'd like to see these cars slow down.
Well, after what he went through earlier this year, now Glidden breaks. Bob Glidden is going to be defeated by Barry Shirley here in the quarterfinal round.
Well, Bob Glidden was going for 4 wins in a row in IHRA competition, but he goes down to defeat to Barry Shirley. Barry runs a 767, and Glidden with a very poor 12:45. Tire shake was Bob Glidden's downfall.
Boy, that was the battle of the giants when it comes to reaction time. We talked about it earlier. Shirley has had a .103 and a .129, and Glidden has also been down in that area.
Next out is going to be Tim Neighbors against Darrell Alderman. And Alderman, of course, is the current points leader in IHRA competition, but it's a very, very close battle at this point here at the popular Hot Rodding Nationals. We did, however, question Alderman about the point situation.
Yes. Bob Glidden is in third right now, 300 points behind me, and he has won the last 3 events, and he's coming on strong. He's someone to watch for, that's for sure.
All right, now Tim Neighbors wants to pull an upset, and I believe that Neighbors has red lighted.
Boy, you can visibly see it, Bob. There's just no question about it. Either Neighbors had red light on that one, or Alderman was sleeping at the switch, and obviously, usually the latter just doesn't happen.
It's a 764 for Darrell Alderman. Here is the replay, and you can see that Neighbors was off the line well in advance of the Christmas tree.
Bob, sometimes when you're going up against an opponent who's going red hot, you anticipate that light. You figure the only way you can beat him is to beat the system, beat the light. And he had to go for it. Maybe that's what was in his mind.
Well, it's going to be Camaro against Thunderbird in this next one. Billy Ewing in the Camaro and Terry Adams driving the Thunderbird. We question Billy Ewing on the familiarity with this car that he's running here this weekend.
Well, I guess that's due to riding in this car a real long time. Me and this car's been together now about 5 years, and we've run a lot of tracks all over the country. And usually me and my partner Lamar can look at the track and adjust the car before we even start to go down it to know exactly what the car will do.
Ewing against Adams.
Ewing in the near lane, Adams in the far lane. It's a close one. Adams is holding his own, but Ewing's experience, I think, is going to pay off for him. Yes, sir, it really did.
It was a close battle, though. 750 for Billy Ewing and a 760 for Terry Adams. Some great reaction speeds from both drivers. Billy Ewing with a .087 and Adams with a 128. And as far as speed concerned, Billy Ewing had about 3 miles an hour slower than Adams. So once again, we're seeing the slower speed register the better ET.
So as one of the oldest cars in IHRA competition wins, we go to Marty, who's down in the Pro Alcohol Funny Car pits, where they're trying to keep cars new.
It's a racing promoter's dream to have the #1 and #2 points leaders meet head-on in semifinal action. That's exactly what's going to happen here at Martin, Michigan. And Bunny Burkett, you're chasing the man to your right, Greg Moss. Can you catch him? You've got to beat him right here.
Today is anybody's race. With the track conditions and both cars as being competitive as they are, we can just hope that the best woman's out front.
Greg Moss, you're not the best woman. You could be the best man. You're in the points lead right now, but you told me something that she's very good on rough tracks.
Yeah, her mechanic, and she's a good driver, so I'd say she's got a little edge at this racetrack.
What are you going to have to do to beat her?
I don't know. We're just going to have to rely on my mechanic back here and see if we can get through this tire shake problem they're having out there.
Well, we all hope that both of you stay mean and clean and see you at the top end.
Well, Bunny Burkett and Greg Moss will square off when we come back in the quarterfinals of the Pro Alcohol Division as we present the popular Hot Rodding National from Martin, Michigan. Each Thursday night at 7:30 here on ESPN, Larry and I welcome you to join us for Speed Week for all the latest news and results from the world of motorsports. Well, one of our popular features throughout the years in all types of racing has been a question of the week. And here is Marty with this week's question here at IHRA.
One word that would best describe the sensation you feel when you leave that starting line.
Wow.
Why?
It's the next best thing to 6.
There's just no way to describe it that I can think of.
Seems like a blur, you know.
Well, no, when it runs a 60 run, you know, it's like getting on one of those real steep roller coaster rides and magnifying it about 100 times. It's a pretty good ride.
Probably the first initial feeling when I hit the throttle and it pins me in the seat and leaves the way it does on a good one is awesome.
Exhilarating.
I'd have to say awesome.
Just fantastic.
It's dynamite.
There's just nothing else like it. I just can't describe it.
It's the best feeling in the world. It's kind of like riding a roller coaster and coming down that deep, off the deep end of the roller coaster. It just kind of takes your breath momentarily.
I feel great. Oh, it's unreal.
Awesome.
Did Roy Hill say it's next best to sex?
I don't think he understood the question, or maybe he doesn't understand the ramifications of his answer.
Buddy Burkett is set to go in Pro Alcohol Funny Car. We ask you about changes in the sport.
No control over his track conditions. That's probably been the #1 plague of the IHRA trail this year is track conditions. We quite often get to a track where it turns into a one-lane racetrack, and that is so devastating, where you have 2 cars that is equal in performance, and one of them has to run in a bad lane.
Well, that's Carol, Bunny Burkett. She prefers Bunny. She's from Sterling, Virginia. Her opponent is Greg Moss. We question him about the condition of this racetrack.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of control with this racetrack right now. Most all the cars are tire shaking so bad that we're having a lot of trouble with that.
Well, an interesting hometown there on Greg Moss. He's from Fenton, Missouri, and a hometown of a couple of other racers, Ken Schrader and Rusty Wallace. And
They have put it on each other, aren't
it's
they?
a close one.
Burkett has won it. She turns in an average speed of, make that a top speed, excuse me, of 211 miles an hour. And she moves up one more rung in the ladder. She, as you can see her crossing the line there, winning it. Also only went 211 miles an hour last time. I say only 211 because Dave Sebring, her opponent, had gone 216, but was beat.
Peter Gallant against Fred Mandolini in this next race. We question Gallant on the tire shake that he's been experiencing.
The best way of describing tire shake, when it's all over, it's like a real bad hangover the next day. During it, it's nowhere. You don't know where you are. You get totally disoriented, and hopefully the car is aiming straight ahead because you really don't know until you lift.
Well, it's Peter Gallant's first time in the finals. His opponent, the only 2-time winner in this division so far, Fred Mandolini. And we asked Mandolini about the racetrack.
The biggest problem here, I think, is the racetrack. Everybody's had the problem. We've been down on power for the last 2 runs. We just fixed the motor, and now we're going to have to fight the motor in the racetrack. I mean, we're either going to have to slow the motor down quite a bit or figure out how to hook it to the track. This is probably one of the roughest track surfaces in the country.
Peter Gallant, Fred Mandolini, the green goes on.
Well, Gallant's never been here before. Mandolini has to be considered the favorite, but I think that Gallant may have gotten by Mandolini, and Gallant, yes, has moved on. He moves to the finals against Bunny Burkett.
A 6:65 for Peter Gallant, a 6:56 for Fred Mandolini.
Bob, not only was Mandolini's ET better than Gallant's, but also his miles per hour like 3 more than what Peter had, but Peter won the race. And the reason was the reaction time, 0.130 to 0.230 for Mandolini. Big upset.
And that 1:30 was the best reaction time of the eliminations in this division, and you can see how ecstatic Peter Gallant is for pulling off this big upset in beating the only double winner in IHRA Pro Alcohol Funny Car competition this year, Fred Mandolini. Back with the semifinals in Pro Funny Car in a moment.
You know, a big wheeler dealer like me has to keep up on the action. The players, who's hot, who's not. And what's a better deal than picking up a copy of Sports Illustrated? You see, Sports Illustrated...
Excuse me, sir, but I got a better deal.
Yeah, kid, right. I'll handle this. You see, Sports Illustrated gives me more than just stats and scores. I get the feeling of what it's like to hit a brick wall at 30 miles an hour. How it feels to look down the barrel of a loaded gun. To lose a tough one. And how it feels to win it all. That's what Sports Illustrated gives me.
Well, Sports Illustrated gave me this NFL Follies video cassette. Free with my paid subscription. It's 44 minutes of fumbles, foolery and follies. It makes a great gift, and it's free.
Free? Come on, kid. This is America. Nobody gives you something for nothing.
Okay, free for subscribing to Sports Illustrated.
Aha!
But that's just the half of it. I get Sports Illustrated for less than one-half your newsstand price. 27 action-packed weeks of football, baseball, basketball, and more delivered right to your door for 3 installments of just $9.79 each.
That's more than 50% off.
Subscribe now and you get the College and Pro Football Spectacular. Plus, you get this handy NFL schedule free, and you get the famous swimsuit issue uncovering what truly is man's favorite spectator sport. Phones are open now. Just call this toll-free number and you get the whole deal. You can even use your credit card.
Okay, let's get this straight. They get a 50% savings. The schedule, the football spectacular, the swimsuit issue, and the free NFL tape. Now, see, kid? That's a great deal.
Gee, sir, you're right.
Yeah.
Get the savings, get the special issues, get the NFL schedule, get the video cassette.
Hello, Sports Illustrated? I want to renegotiate.
Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling. ESPN viewers, call now. 1-800-541-9000.
For the semifinals, Tom McEwen is going to try and change gear ratios, hoping to keep the car from shaking itself apart. And over here in Kenny Bernstein's pit, they're going to step on it a little bit, put a little more power in the tank and on the track, and see if the track will hold it.
This first semifinal battle involves Mark Oswald, who defeated Michael Edstrom earlier, against Tom McEwen, who was able to defeat Wayne Minnick. And there you can see the cars being staged. It's going to be a Trans Am against a Corvette. Oswald in the Trans Am and McEwen in the Corvette. We questioned Tom McEwen about other types of auto racing.
I think drag racing is the safest of all the motorsports. I wouldn't drive a drag boat or Gold Cup boat. I think those are real dangerous. And I wouldn't be interested in a kart or a Formula type car at all, the open wheel circular cars. A NASCAR would be fun, I think, but I think that this drag racing is the safest of all of them.
Well, those are the comments from Tom McEwen. Now, his opponent, Mark Oswald, has won 3 times this year in IHRA at Eunice, at St. Louis, and at Cincinnati. We ask him how he feels when he leaves that starting line.
It's hard to say. You know, I thought a lot about it. Our car, the way I figure it, I can't really tell anything the car does for the first 50 or 60 feet. Because if I come back and tell the crew that the car did something, my first recollections are probably, 50 to 100 feet off the starting line. So it just blurs your senses for the first part of the racetrack.
Bob, back to the Mongoose's comments. I will say that the modern race car, and Oswald is going up in smoke, but then Mongoose is stopping about halfway down the line. So Mark Oswald may have broke her, but still won.
Well, an interesting race as a big puff of smoke comes up from Oswald's car, and you think it's over, and then McEwen shuts it off, and Oswald comes out the winner with a 6:05 to McEwen's 9:64. 250 miles an hour from Mark Oswald. Getting set to go now, Kenny Bernstein against Tim Gross. We asked Bernstein about things he can control on his race car.
Well, you really have control of the race car as long as you drive with your head. You don't drive over your means or over your head and put yourself in a position that you lose that control, and then you're just a rider in the race car. The control is there, the concentration is there. You pretty well feel good about it. Again, you just can't take it past that limit.
Those are the comments from Kenny Bernstein. Tim Gross, on the other hand, we ask a similar question about problems he has controlling the car.
I had experience, I guess, in 1980 where when the throttle was stuck, I had a pretty horrendous accident and all that. Nobody can really decide ahead of time, what you're going to encounter. So I suppose there is that little element in the back of your mind that something can happen. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't be so exciting to drive one of these monsters.
Well, can Kenny Bernstein continue his streaks of winning on ESPN? Some smoke coming from the car, but he has a lead.
Bernstein, I think, has done it again. I'll tell you, when Dale Armstrong gets that machine percolating, the 5.7s just seem to tumble out. Look at there. There it is again. Another 5.7 for Bernstein.
And that's a track record, Larry.
5.722.
So Kenny Bernstein moves to the finals against Mark Oswald in Pro Funny Car. We'll have more in a moment from Martin, Michigan.
Share the color and excitement of championship drag racing in your authentic International Hot Rod Association t-shirt. Free with a special TV offer for Drag Review, the official newspaper of the IHRA. 24 action-packed issues, only $24.95. Plus, you get a sew-on cloth hat, car window decal, and full membership in the International Hot Rod Association, drag racing's fastest-growing association. Twice monthly Drag Review brings you all the news of what's happening in the action-packed world of IHRA drag racing, plus the latest technical information. Call now, special TV offer. Order your Drag Review, become a member of the International Hot Rod Association, and get an authentic IHRA t-shirt. Drag Review, 24 issues, only $24.95. Call now, 1-800-554-9000. Operators are standing by. Use Visa, MasterCard, or pay COD. Drag Review, 24 issues, only $24.95. Plus special IHRA t-shirt bonus. Tell operator your t-shirt size. Call 1-800-554-9000.
Welcome to the NFL.
There's nothing like being in the NFL. So get in the action. Come on, get into it. Come on.
Now you're in the NFL when you get into your NFL team jacket by Starter, because now you can get the real thing. The same team jackets Mike Ditka and the other NFL coaches and players wear.
That's my jacket.
Now it can be your jacket. To order your authentic NFL team jacket by Starter, call 1-800-453-2800. Have your credit card ready. Show your true colors. Get the jacket your favorite NFL team wears. Custom tailored, custom designed to NFL specs. Snap front, washable satin jacket. Fully lined, warm and comfortable. And with your name embroidered on it. Authentic NFL Prologue. Call 1-800-453-2800.
Kenny Bernstein, 572 is a new track record, 259 miles an hour. Somebody just figured out this race course.
Well, Dale Armstrong and the crew did, obviously. They always work it that hard, as you know, Marty, and they've been creeping up. We took a little shot then to see if the track would hold it and see if it responded, and it did. Anxious to see the 259. That's a good sign for us. We've been notoriously a little off on the mile per hour. That's nice to see.
Means we've got another matchup between you and Mark Oswald in the finals.
It's always that way. It seems like the last 4 or 5 races with the Budweiser King Motorcraft Tempo against the old Milwaukee car, doesn't it? But we'll have a good one against Mark. We're 2-2 now, so I guess it's a rubber match now.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Those Pro Funny Car finals will be coming up momentarily. Right now, we've got the semis in the Pro Stock Division. And going in this first round will be Ricky Smith, who defeated Roy Hill, against Darrell Alderman, who beat 10 neighbors. We asked Alderman about controlling the car.
Well, the thing that we have the most control over is pulling the levers when we want to. You know, if the car starts to spin and shake a little bit, you can pull the lever, pull the engine down, and get on through it. And one thing that we don't have any control over at all is when you leave the starting line, if you dump it there and it goes crazy, well, you can't do nothing with it then.
Those are the comments from Darrell Alderman. And we asked the same question of Ricky Smith, already a winner this year in IHRA.
Well, I hope myself is the one that I have total control over. And the other one, I guess, would be how the car is going to react. I don't know what it's going to do sometimes, especially on a track like this. You just got to go up there and hope that thing don't go crazy when you drop the clutch.
Alderman in the Camaro and Smith in the Mustang. I believe we have a red light.
Alderman really jumped off the line. You can see it almost got out from underneath him. Ricky Smith has been Mr. ET as well as Mr. Miles per hour so far in this meet. Like we told you earlier, sometimes the only way to beat a very strong opponent is just to outguess him at the line, and you run the risk of doing exactly what Alderman's doing in this case, the red light. Smith has gone 183 twice coming into this round, and he's turned in 2 7.4s on the ET.
Well, who will Ricky Smith's opponent be in the finals? It'll either be Billy Ewing or Barry Shirley, both drivers getting their cars up to the line right now.
Ewing on the left really hasn't been running IHRA, this elevated of a division, for a very long time. 84 really was the first year that he made it here.
And the green light comes on. A poor start for Billy Ewing, but now he comes on and begins to stretch out the advantage, and Ewing wins it.
Yes, he does. Ewing was able to compensate for reacting not so quickly at the line. The last time out, he had a reaction time of less than 1/10 of a second. Our computers are reading out for us that it slipped to a .158, if you can call that a slip. but he was able to power up halfway down the course, and he turned it into a win.
So it's a good showing for Barry Shirley.
If you don't read the Wall Street Journal, you're saving a little time when you could be investing it.
Call 800-372-3000 for this special introductory offer. 13 weeks for just $29.50 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.50. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Motorcraft quality parts spend their weekends meeting some grueling demands. The very same Motorcraft quality delivers dependable performance in your car every day. Motorcraft from Ford.
Sunday, there's full throttle unlimited hydroplane excitement. Find out who hangs on to win the Budweiser Emerald Cup Sunday on ESPN.
Now the Sportsman finals here at the popular Hot Rodding Nationals at Martin, Michigan. First now in the stock division, it's Dennis Kintz from Fort Wayne, Indiana in the far lane against Gary Bowers, the 1975 world champion from Enid, Ohio in the near lane.
Kintz just really have to have the computer going here, going up against Bowers, a two-time champion. And we've got a red light. Kintz has red lighted the man in the far lane. These are showroom available assembly line cars. Kintz, as we told you, really, with his work cut out for him, reacted just a little too quickly.
So it's Gary Bowers winning the stock division. Now moving to the modifieds, it's Tom Stroh from Columbia City, Indiana in the far lane against Ed Matsko from Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania in the near lane.
These are cars that have been designed specifically for drag racing. You see they use the handicap system. It's a dial-in breakout speed, and you break out, then you're disqualified.
So Tom Stroh in the Trans Am B gas machine records his third win of the season in the modified division. Now moving to the hot rods, it's going to be Bob Wallet in the far lane against Bob Harpster in the near lane.
It's a class where the breakout time is controlled. It's not determined by qualifications. It's 10.90. You cannot go under that ET or you're kicked out.
And Bob Wallet from Marion, Ohio records the victory in excellent reaction time of .023. Bob Wallet wins in hot rods.
A 1965 Chevy 2, one of the oldest bodies anywhere.
Here's the super stock division now. It's Harold Charles in the far lane against Mark Henskill in the near lane.
Charles won the last national event. He's a TV repairman by profession. He's in the far lane. Now, this is a division that has 4 subdivisions. These are factory production cars, so Bob, you or I could enter this one theoretically.
And it's Harold Charles, but a good race. That's his second straight national event win. Harold Charles wins over Mark Henskill. Now we move to the super rod class, and the contestants are Joe Tankersley from Elkton, Tennessee against Tim McGuire from Wellington, Ohio.
This is the division of David Rampy, so everybody's got to be very happy that Rampy does not get to the finals. These guys both very excited about being here.
Joe Tankersley, a 1984 world champion.
Whoa.
That's an extremely close race, and they turn in identical times of 9:94. But Tim McGuire from Wellington, Ohio has the margin because of the reaction time of .028. In quick rod now, John Bookout against Dale Wyand.
We move up to the 130, 140, 145 mile an hour range with a breakout AT of 8.90. They'll move down the strip a little quicker. That's Bookout on the far lane and Wyand in the near lane.
And they come down. It's an excellent close race, but John Bookout records his first win ever in the Summers and Bookout Dragster. Finally, in Top Sportsman, it's Gordon Prevette from Ampex, North Carolina against John Perotti from Chardon, Ohio.
ETs that are dialed in, meaning you cannot go faster than your best qualifying time in the prelims.
Perotti is in his first final round ever, but he loses to Gordon Prevette, who records his first win in 5 years in Top Sportsman. So there are the Sportsman finals. Next, we come up to the finals in Pro Stock, Pro Alcohol Funny Car, and Pro Funny Car. That in just a moment.
There's just one place you need to go for all the names and games making sports news. ESPN Sports Center. 3 times every day, Chris Berman, Gail Gardner, and Greg Gumbel bring you the latest scores, the hottest trades, and the top plays from the world of sports. Sports Center takes you on the road with live remotes from major events like baseball's All-Star Game and the U.S. Olympic Festival. Sports Center, your total source for sports. Only on the Total Sports Network, ESPN.
The essence of bobsledding.
The new sled feels like gliding on silk.
The essence of shaving.
This is Atra Plus, an incredible advance in Gillette shaving smoothness. The Plus is the white Lubra Smooth strip that releases lubricants as you shave. You never felt anything smoother.
Atra Plus by Gillette, the essence of shaving.
Motorcraft quality parts spend their weekends meeting some grueling demands. The very same Motorcraft quality delivers dependable performance in your car every day. Motorcraft from Ford.
Indy 500 champion Bobby Rahal, the fastest Indy champion in history. Continuing the winning tradition of Budweiser racing teams, Bobby took the checkered flag to win the greatest auto race in the world. Racing fans, this Bud's for you.
The Pro Stock Finals are coming up in just a moment. Let's go right now to Marty Reed, who's in the Mark Oswald pit.
Down at Mark Oswald's pit, they're making some changes in the clutch in preparation for the final round. I asked car owner Paul Candies exactly what he was going to do. He looked at me and said, "The truth?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I'm going to pray."
Here we go with the Pro Stock Finals. It's Ricky Smith against Billy Ewing.
Mr. Reaction Time there in that white Motorcraft quality parts sponsored machine. In the far lane, he'll go up against Billy Ewing, a guy who has come into his own really in the last couple of seasons. He's been around for a number of years, but the last 2 or 3 years have really proved to be fruitful for Billy Ewing. Smith got to be considered as the favorite coming to this one. He's had those big miles per hour, those very quick reaction times, low ETs over the last couple of seasons.
Mind games being played here as the cars begin to stage now. And the green goes on. Here is the Pro Stock Finals. It's Ricky Smith out to a hole shot. Let's see if he can hold it. Yes, he can.
Well, it looked like Smith had him anyway, but Ewing helped him out just a bit. He squirmed just a touch. Not more than 20 yards away from the start line. And once that Smith got the advantage, being the veteran that he is, he put the closer on him.
Well, that is Ricky Smith's first win in IHRA competition in 1986. And we mentioned the tremendous points battle that's going on in this division. Despite the fact this is his first win, he now takes the points lead in Pro Stock.
And Bob, listen to these numbers. He hung up 184.4 miles per hour, an ET of 7.5, and a reaction time under a tenth of a second, 0.096. A tremendous trio of numbers hung up by that man right there, who gets out rather nonchalantly and goes down to his crew.
And he not only goes to his crew, but he also heads over to our Marty Reed. And here is Marty with the winner, Ricky Smith.
Ricky Smith, a 758 at 184 miles an hour, and congratulations.
Oh, you don't know how happy I am. I can't hardly stand it, you know. It's been a long year, but we're fighting it out, and now we're leading the points. And I just got to thank Motorcraft for sticking with me this year. You know, with Motorcraft sticking with me and Ford, this Mustang has just worked tremendous this year. And Sonny Leonard, you can tell how excited I am. I love it.
You are really emotional about this. You know, you had said before the race that you wanted to win this one more than worrying about the points.
Right. I just wanted this race.
Congratulations. Go and enjoy it.
You know, it's nice to see emotion from these guys, and obviously Smith was filled with emotion.
Bobby really was.
Now moving to the Pro Alcohol Finals. It's Bunny Burkett against Peter Gallen. Can Burkett become a second two-time winner in this division in 1986? Fred Mandolini right now, the only two-time winner in it, but Bunny would like to make her mark in this division.
Bunny has emerged as one of the three superstars, if you will, of this brand new classification, and she has the leg up on Gallen. Gallen's not been here that often, and Gallen, as you can see, getting a little bit loose. He gives an advantage to Bunny early on, and Bunny just closes the door on him, and Gallen still not really gathering it all back together.
Just a almost flawless performance by Bunny Burkett, and she wins in Pro Alcohol.
And she also is putting together those big numbers, particularly in the ETs. Her average, rather her top speed, hasn't been that impressive all meet long, but that is the third run in a row that she's gone with a 6.4 on the ET.
You know, IHRA has come up with this Pro Alcohol division, and it has seen some tremendous racing this year. Let's go down to Marty Reed, who's with the winner, Bunny Burkett.
I'll tell you what, they haven't taken you out of this thing yet, but you just ran a 6:44 and you've taken over the lead for the World Championship. Congratulations.
I did?
That's right, you needed this round.
Greg?
You are now in front. If you would have lost the round, you'd have been 35 points behind. You didn't even realize it.
No, I didn't. I wasn't aware of it at all.
Just worried about winning the race.
Yeah, I take one round at a time.
This was a big race for you.
It was. It's my second national event.
You did a super job. What about this crew?
Got the best crew in the whole world. I'm going to love them all to death.
Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much, and thanks for your support. We love it.
Bunny Burkett, the winner of Pro Alcohol Funny Cars. Now moving to the Pro Funny Cars, and it's Kenny Bernstein against Mark Oswald. Oswald defeated Tom McEwen in the semis, and Kenny Bernstein defeated Tim Gross.
The classic matchup, the young man from the Cincinnati, Ohio area, Mark Oswald, there in the Kennys and Hughes old Milwaukee car, against Kenny Bernstein. Just a pitch for Dale Pauldie. I miss him. Pauldie really belongs in drag racing, really belongs in funny cars. He has been one of the top 4 guns in funny car racing the last couple of seasons, and boy, we sure miss him. But Bernstein and Oswald, the men of 1986. As Kenny told you, the rubber match. They've each won twice.
Kenny is in the far lane and Oswald in the near lane. Let's see what happens. Green light goes on. Kenny with the hole shot, smoking.
I guess that's what's called smoking them off. Something happening to Oswald is less than halfway down the strip. He shut off Bernstein with another 5.77 to be exact. 257 miles an hour. You heard Bernstein saying that they were looking for those 255 plus miles per hour because they've been down a little bit on miles per hour. But when you have those low ETs, when the car sustains itself all the way down the strip, and you get a reaction time well under a third of a second, the miles per hour are important, but they're just not paramount.
Just another proof that Kenny is the king, and he has got to wish that all IHRA events are televised because his winning percentage on ESPN is just tremendous. Marty Reed with the winner, Kenny Bernstein.
Tell you what, up underneath that helmet, another victory. I tell you what we ought to do is just give you the championship before we go on the air.
Oh, I don't know about that. Mark Oswald and Candy's always tough, and we've had a good year against each other, that's for sure. But I'll tell you what, we sure like ESPN. I think this is 7 out of 9 events that you've covered and we've won, so maybe you guys ought to cover all the events we race.
You ran a 5.77, 257 miles an hour, so you were getting both ends of it here.
Well, it came around the last round with Dale and the guys, and they made some moves on the car that helped. We were a little worried with all the downtime here this afternoon. It might hurt it, but it didn't. It got loose again, but it still responded and went down the racetrack, and that's what it's all about. So I think it'll be okay for the rest of the season. We'd have to stay after it now.
What about the lanes after that oil down right before the finals in the right side?
Well, there's no doubt about it that the right lane couldn't be any better. It wasn't the best lane all day, and I'm sure that didn't help the situation for Mark and the guys over there. But that's the advantage we had with the Budweiser King Motorcraft Tempo, was to have the lane choice, and that's what you fight for.
Well, good luck again as you continue to thunder along.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Way to go,
now,
guys.
congratulations from the booth to Kenny Bernstein, the winner in Pro Funny Cars, to Bunny Burkett, the winner in Pro Alcohol Funny Cars, and Ricky Smith, our Pro Stock Champion. Back with some closing comments after this.
This is the call that every college football star in America is waiting for. The call from the NFL. And this is the phone used in the college draft, the NFL helmet phone. Now, you can own one exactly like it, made from an authentic NFL helmet with an ITT phone. There's one for every NFL team, your team. To get one for your home or office, just call 1-800-238-2300. Say which team helmet you want and have your credit card handy. Credit card orders only. The price is $249. Get on the phone right now. Don't miss this chance to own a phone exactly like the ones used at NFL Draft Day. Call 1-800-238-2300 for the NFL helmet phone. Call now. Draft a winner. That's 1-800-238-2300.
Mighty Auto Parts. Tough. Dependable. Backed by a mighty guarantee. Next time, go with a mighty pro. He knows what it takes to keep your car in shape.
It takes a mighty part to please a pro.
Sunday, find out who's in the best shape heading into the U.S. Open. It's the Hamlet Challenge Final, live at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Top-ranked boxing showdown of the year. Bert Cooper takes on Tyrone Booz for the North American Boxing Federation Cruiserweight title. Tuesday on ESPN. They're the best in what could be boxing's most competitive class. Cooper battles Booz, live Tuesday night at 9 Eastern on ESPN.
So Bernstein, Burkett, and Smith, the top dogs here at our Martin, Michigan IHRA race.
Bob, not only that, but it's had a dramatic effect on the point standings, as we'll see in just a couple of minutes. It's at this point in the season where the veterans have a real advantage, because not only is performance at the tracks obviously so critical, but it's how you get back and forth across the highway. Is everybody eating properly? Is everybody getting enough sleep? Are the supplies getting at the right place at the right time? That's why the veterans really have an advantage at this point of the season.
Marty Reed did an excellent job covering the pit area for us this afternoon. Here are his closing comments.
Today's race turned out to be not so much a battle between racers, but between racers and the track. Kenny Bernstein ends up winning again here on ESPN, with Mark Oswald still holding a commanding lead in the points championship in Pro Funny Car. Bunny Burkett moves ahead of Greg Moss in Pro Alcohol Funny Car. And in Pro Stock, a big day for Ricky Smith, a very emotional moment. His car thundered down the track to victory over Billy Ewing. It was an exciting event. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Marty. Well, the popular Hot Rodding Nationals have been brought to you by Motorcraft, quality parts from Ford. And by Drag Review, all you need to know about drag racing. We thank you for joining us here at Martin, Michigan for our IHRA drag racing. For Marty Reed and Larry Newber, this is Bob Jenkins. We leave you with Les Shockley in his truck powered by 3 jet engines. So long, everyone.